So let's look at this one first of all. Clearly this has been bobtailed, it's been off-roaded, it's been largely abused, but underneath this shabby exterior there is a real gem, and I am actually quite excited about this thing. Unfortunately the chassis has been chopped off, so it's been bobtailed at the back. You can see where someone's chopped the back end of the chassis off and then welded all manner of crap in there, and also at the front end, the comedy tyres, they've chopped the front end of the chassis off as well, and this is basically to aid entry and exit on steep inclines or declines, I guess. However, the chassis is scrap, so I'm going to buy a new chassis for this. You can get brand new chassis galvanised, and I'm going to build the car up around that. Not quite Trigger's Broom, this one's not going to be. It's got original, this is a 355, so it's an A-Suffix. It's in the 1700 range, so it's an early 1971 car. So this is why I'm quite excited about this one. It is a very, very early Range Rover. So it was, as you can see, originally blue. That's the original colour. The green has been probably not brush painted, but it's not the best job. Oh, that's an interesting tattoo there. Look at that, it's interesting. Preserve that as a piece of the history of the car. Not right. So yes, I'll do away with the chassis. It's got original 355 1700 range. Right, just got interrupted there by neighbour on horse, so I'm gonna have a chat. Right, so where were we? Yeah, it's got original engine. You can see it's not been running for a while. Inlet manifold's all loose and stuff. I'll see if it cranks over. I'm not going to try and start it, obviously, because I've got absolutely no idea when this thing was last started. It's got a later water pump on it, but it's got the original early, I think, alternator mounting. It's got the correct power steering mounting and power steering box, although I suspect that's been retrofitted because of these comedy tyres on the front. But the power steering on this will be extremely useful. The hoses and the pump and the mountings for the white car that's in there. Right, so axles, engine are both in the 355 1700 range, so they're kind of number matched to the chassis number. The gearbox is slightly later, but it's still an A-Suffix. That's not uncommon. The very early LT95 gearboxes, they were troublesome, and I think a lot got replaced by the factory with a very, very slightly later item. I mean, looking at this chassis, it's a bit of a shame that someone's chopped it up, to be honest, because it's actually pretty solid, the bits they haven't chopped up. Never mind, people do these things, don't they? Probably find it survived because it's been off-roaded, bizarrely. Right, okay, so inside. This is the other irritating thing about someone bobtailing this car, because it's got mega early doors on it, flat edges, there's no rib on them. It's got really, really good shape A-posts, tiny bit of rust at the bottom there. And the inside as well is in good shape. Ignore the fact that the floor pan is all rotted out, but the A-post itself is actually not in bad shape. B-post, similarly, very, very little rot on it. Nice and straight all the way up. You can see this car again, blue. Tiny bit of rust at the top there. Bit of butchery where they chopped the original roof. Pardon me, bit of butchery where they chopped the original roof panel in half. It had bucket seats in it. I'm sworn it had bucket seats in it, but it hasn't now. I don't mind because I didn't want the bucket seats anyway. This one's had a dog in it, I think. These are quite late teddy bear seats. They haven't got the pivot on them, so these are just four-door seats. Not ideal for this, but they'll do for shifting it around and so forth. I have got other seat frames that are going to go into it that are early-ish. It's got the early dash front panel. Not the one that sits slightly proud. Other than that, the dash has a few holes in it where bits have been fitted on, which is somewhat regrettable. But the choke area has disappeared off there. Again, not a huge issue. It says on the speedo that it's got 66 on it. I don't know if it's the original pod. I've got no idea of the mileage of this thing. I've got an MOT certificate from quite a long time ago. Probably before it was bobtailed. The gearbox cover is pretty good. I'm quite happy with it. It's quite sound all around. Checker plate all over the bloody place, predictably. It's got the rear heel board is in there, that's fine. A lot of the stuff in here I'll end up replacing like I did with the white car. LT95 gearbox without its top cover. I'm not expecting great things in there. But it does, you can engage high and low ratio. I haven't checked to see if I can engage any gears yet. As you can see, there's no top cover on it. Someone's taken that off somehow, but without... well, they must have dropped the gearbox or lifted the body or done something, because I don't know how you get that out with the gearbox in place there. It's got a nice early ashtray. No cigarettes, but lots of fuses. And some springs there for the detent balls that hold the selectors in place. There's a lot of crap in there, as you can see. The gears don't look bad. I'm only looking there at the first gear. That's first gear right at the back there. I'll have to have a good look at that. Could be I've struck out here. Got lucky with another nice gearbox. The rest of the dash, the lower dash area, there's a few holes drilled here and there. Nothing I can't fix. There's nothing too horrific in here. I don't know about the windscreen. Let's have a look at the windscreen. Oh, the interesting thing about this one I like. Notice how nicely the doors close as well. Look. No drop or anything. It's got the registration number. Chug. Check that out. Chug 626J or Chug 626J. I was just looking to see if the windscreen glass is an early one or not. Screen rubber's shot, but they always are. No servo, but the pedal box area, or the panel is there. Again, I can rob bits here and there and everywhere. Another comedy tyre. These comedy tyres, they're fantastic because it gives you such a tight turning circle that they're utterly fucking useless. They need whacking great big spacers on them. Probably had big spacers on it, but they were taken off when the car was retired. That's early. Underneath here, the top of the bulkhead is actually pretty good. Happy enough with that. Bottom of the bulkhead, wow. I've done this before. I know exactly what I'm doing there. It's got newer rocker covers on it, but the rest of the engine appears to be quite early power steering pump reservoir. Probably comedy strength springs and a big old sump plan down there, so I'll end up taking all that shit off. This A-post isn't quite as pretty as the other one. It's had a big welded patch at the back end of it, but, and again, nice easy to open early door, although this one's got a bit more rust on it, but I should be able to fix that. Nice easy to open door, and again, the inside edge of this A-post, not bad at all. I'll be able to do something with that. That's the early dash front panel. Got some free nuts and bolts and washers, look. In here it looks like a squirrel or something has been nesting. Nice. Oh look, there's the ends of the chassis. There's the front ends of the chassis. I mean, I would weld them back on, but it's pretty pointless because the back end's missing. They've changed the routing of the heater hose for some reason. I'm not entirely sure I know why. What's that there? Wonder what that is. Comedy electrics that have been put in by someone. It's got a clock, Kinsey clock, and a battery gauge. And what's that there? Fuse box. Just retro wired a fuse box and butchered the dashboard in the process. I've got another one of these dashboards, so what will end up happening is I will probably end up finding a way of restoring this dash top, because there are bits of it that are in good order and there are bits of it which are in terrible order. Interestingly, that speedo pod is fucking immaculate. Normally they crack around the edges here. They shatter when you take the back covers off. That was really nice. Right, rambling somewhat. Another later four-door seat. Again, door. Kadonk. Oh yeah, don't have a pop rivet on checker plate when you can use 10mm self-screwing or self-tapping bolts. Much more fun. Look at that. That's meaty. That is. Back wing's obviously useless. I think what they've done when they shortened it is they cut the car here and here, up here at the top, So I think that when I take the outer wing off and cut the inner wing out, which is going to get cut out because there's no way am I keeping it as a bobtail, then I will be able to retain the tail end of the inner wing, replace the whole side curtain, floor, arch with new, and then extend this lip to make it back up to the full length again. And I'll still have this D-post area. It's got its original D-post covers, and on the inside it's got its original D-post vents. Oops, see if we can focus on that. Little slidey vents, but that's seized up, but I'm not going to break it because they're quite unique to the very early cars. Right, pop riveted the roof together, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah, good work there, mate. Oh, you can see where he's cut it up there. He's cut it at the forward edge. You can see it better on this side. Cut it there. So that's where he's cut the frame. So if I were to break that join, top and bottom, and then extend this out on the new chassis so that the tailgate, and there's no, oh, he has got, so we've still got the, so the goalpost, this is the goalpost area, which has got a massive dent in it because it looks like he's rolled backwards into a tree or something, but I should be able to pull that out. The rest of the goalposts are actually in fairly good order. Ignore this bit, this is outer wing, this is outer wing area, this is the goalpost. Bit pop riveted on down there. And then underneath this rubber piece here, that's the rear cross member, which looks to be not bad. It's a replacement one. It's not to the original standard. I don't know what he's done there. I'll have to have a look at that. God knows where his fuel tank went, because that's the forward fuel tank mount. I don't know where the rear fuel tank mount went. It's got seized and rusted. Oh, that one moves. Flaps for the hinges for the tailgate. Big old rear bumper, and I suspect that's why he's moved the rear cross member forwards, whoever did this. I bet it was quite a good laugh off-road actually. Nice easy access to the back axle, there it all is. Boge self-leveling strut, I don't know if it works or not. The car's lifted up quite high at the back, so it could well be it is working, but until you take them off you can't confirm anything. Again, it seems to have quite heavy duty springs on it. I won't be using those again. Back plates are on the discs, I can see down there. So it's got the brake calipers on both sides. It's got the fore and aft shock absorbers. Rear light unit survived just. Sometimes you can actually recover these things, but that one's got a lump taken out of it, so not that one. At the front, have we got the calipers at the front? Yes, we have. Look. Got big calipers at the front there, painted gold. That's nice quality. So what am I going to do with this? I think what I'm going to do is cover it up and forget about it for a while. I'm going to change these front tyres and pump some air into the replacement, so at least I can manoeuvre it around it. It can't stay here, it's in the middle of the bloody field at the moment, in the middle of the paddock. So I need to get it wrapped up. I'm getting a polytunnel to pop them into. I'll get it wrapped up, try and keep it as preserved as I possibly can. I'll cover up the top of that gearbox to prevent any further damage. I might unbolt things like doors just to reduce some of the weight or risk of damage. And then I will get onto this one. This one might be the next project, because I'm quite enthusiastic about this one. Pull this one back from the brink. I'm quite pleased for Justin, who sold it to me, that it got saved really. There's something about it. I don't know. It's actually quite an attractive job, apart from the roof and the 10mm self-tappers. That's not a bad job, and it looks like it was a running car until they took it off the road to cut the front end of the chassis off, which I just showed you in the front footwell, because obviously they've taken the inner wings and everything else that goes with it. So I've got a set of panels for this as well. I've got front wings, a bonnet, slam panel, inner wings. What I don't have is the rear wings, so I'm going to start shopping around for those. I've got the rear tailgate for it. Let me show you the rear tailgate. Bom, 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 bom. And then we'll get on to the other car. There's two more arriving tonight, so I I'll do another 2 videos on those. Bore you lot shitless. Right, this is the tailgate from it. If I can turn it around, which I can't really. Some weapons grade damage on that, which again is somewhat irritating because there are chunks of this tailgate that are in pretty good shape. So what I'm going to end up doing with this one, I think, is cutting it apart for parts. I shall cut the corners off and use them to repair. The skin at the bottom is fucked. To be honest, the whole thing's fucked. Yeah, there's no such thing as rubbish when it comes to old Range Rovers. Once I cut all the bits of it I need, then I'll weigh in the remains. There's a big pile of seats at the back there. You can see that I got as part of the deal. And that's the front bumper of it. So you can see comedy, pedestrian bull bar, which probably serves fuck all purpose, but an original bumper behind it. So I think once I unbolt the comedy bull bar, I'll be able to weld up the holes on the bumper because it looks straight. It's in good shape, that. Weld up the holes, get it powder coated, and it can go on. So that was useful. Right, so that's the first one. That's the 1971 355 1700 Range A-Suffix, which is going to see its glory days again. Let's go and look at the other one now.